we up here in the United States, we see stories about, well, Brazil just went through another election, and you had a very close election there on the presidential contest, and DILMA Rousseff.
It was not an election, because if the counting of the votes is secret, you cannot trust it. This is not a real, it's not a normal election. It's not a legitimate election. This is a fraud, a complete fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who was responsible for the counting of the votes as the president of the Electoral Commission, he had been a lawyer for the attorney for the Workers' Party. He worked for the Workers' Party for years.
Mm-hmm.
And was a protege of the Workers' Party, and he just returned the favors he received. So only 23 people follow the vote, the counting of the votes. This is so absurd. This is so obviously a fraud.
Is there, Olavo, any way in your view at this late date that we can avoid what looks like is coming, a world socialist regime or dictatorship of some kind?
Of course, we can always do something. We can always fight. But the problem is that you have to get your eyes used to the new situation. If people don't believe, there are people that are so wicked, more wicked than they can imagine,
mm-hmm.
they will not fight them. This is the problem. It's a problem of vision. Get your vision, use it to a new level of dishonesty, mm-hmm. An upgrade of dishonesty. And this is happening before our very eyes. And in Brazil, in the beginning, nobody wanted to believe me because they had the same reaction. Oh, this is too bad to be true.
Yeah.
It took more than 15 years in order people to begin to pay attention to what they're saying. And here you have the same difficulty. You have to insist and insist and insist and never give up. Never, 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 never. It's not a matter of ideology. It's not a matter that we are the right and they are the left. We are telling the truth. We are telling the facts. And they are lying. This is the main point.
How much resistance is there in Brazil?
Now, today there was news from the government itself. What the support for DILMA now? 7%. 7%. So 93% of the Brazilians are against Dilma Rousseff.
And yet she just won that election, according to the official count. Didn't she get about 52% of the vote?
She won no election at all. Or okay. How can you say that? How can we accept a secret counting of votes?
Totally fraudulent.
Total fraudulent.
Yeah.
We can never accept this. An election has to have transparency. Everybody has to have access to the counting of the votes and verify it, and then we accept, well, you won. We count the votes and you won. That's okay. But we cannot count the votes. We cannot even see the votes. And the machines are programmed not to be audited. They cannot be audited.
Mm-hmm.
So it's useless to count the votes now, because only the votes that are registered in the machines, only final results are there.
These are the Smartmatic machines?
Smartmatic machines, yeah.
Let me ask you this. When we look at the fact that Marxism doesn't work economically, and we see what's happening in Brazil, but even equally significant in Venezuela, where the economy is just deteriorating by the day, is the corruption of the communists enough to wake a lot of people up?
I believe this is another problem with the American vision of these things. Because economic failure can topple a government in a democracy, but not in a dictatorship. A dictatorship gets stronger when it fails economically. Mm-hmm. Because if the people have nothing to eat, they have no money, they cannot organize themselves and react. Mm-hmm. They're weakened. So for a dictator, economic failure is good. But in a democracy, of course, if let's say the price of the gas goes very high, people get revolted. But if you have a dictatorial system that dominates the country, misery, poverty is good for them.
So no matter how many economic failures they have, no matter how much corruption, it's not going to threaten their rule.
Economic failure can be a political gain, but corruption is another thing. Because when people hear about corruption, they feel they were robbed, and they get revolted. But so poverty is one thing, economic failure is one thing, and corruption is another thing. It's corruption that is destroying the Worker Party's system in Brazil. Because people are really angry with this.
But as long as the Workers' Party runs the electoral process and can count the votes, they'll never give up power.
I believe they'll never give up. They have to be toppled by a direct popular intervention. I don't believe very much in a military intervention, but I believe in popular intervention. They have to expel these people from political life forever.
E ontem, enquanto o Brasil inteiro aguardava em clima de suspense os primeiros resultados oficiais da eleição presidencial, pouco mais de 20 pessoas sabiam de tudo no Tribunal Superior Eleitoral.
A primeira barreira é a do detector de metais. Em seguida, é preciso passar pela roleta com acesso por crachá. Logo na esquina fica a sala AA06. Um segurança tinha ordem para não deixar o posto sob hipótese alguma. Vigilância permanente da seção de processamento de eleições do TSE, o lugar que guardava o segredo que todos queriam saber. Quem teve autorização para passar desta porta, na verdade, ganhou a oportunidade de viver um momento histórico da política brasileira. Aqui, um seleto grupo de 23 pessoas testemunhou o que a população brasileira inteira queria ver. A contagem voto a voto, a disputa segundo a segundo para saber quem seria o próximo presidente do país. Mas todos aí dentro deveriam ficar incomunicáveis. Foram obrigados a desligar o celular e deixá-los sob esta mesa, visível de qualquer ponto da sala.
O processo eleitoral já é composto de muita tensão e muita emoção, mas isso foi um ingrediente a mais.
O país teve que esperar até às 8 da noite, quando as urnas foram fechadas no Acre, para acompanhar a apuração da eleição presidencial. Até lá, nem o presidente nem os ministros do TSE tiveram acesso às informações em tempo real. Só esses funcionários viram que às 5 horas e 15 minutos, Aécio Neves liderava a corrida presidencial com 62% dos votos, por causa das urnas do Distrito Federal e de capitais do Sul e Sudeste do país. Às 5h30, quando entraram mais votos do interior dessas regiões, a votação de Aécio Neves caiu para menos de 60% do total. Meia hora depois, Dilma Rousseff se aproximou um pouco mais. Às 6h30, quando parte dos votos dos estados do Norte e Nordeste foi revelada, a diferença entre os dois caiu para 11 pontos. Às 7 da noite, Aécio tinha menos de 4 milhões de votos à frente de Dilma. Às 7h32, só o restrito grupo testemunhou o momento decisivo da eleição. A candidata do PT ultrapassou o candidato do PSDB e assumiu a liderança. Quando finalmente, às 8h02 da noite, o país tomou conhecimento do segredo das urnas, Dilma já liderava por mais de 2 milhões de votos. Continuou na frente e, a partir daí, o Brasil apenas viu a presidente manter a liderança e às 8h27 ser oficialmente declarada reeleita. A emoção da contagem voto a voto foi um privilégio para poucos.
A gente costuma dizer que esse trabalho ele é viciante, porque toda vez que a gente termina um ciclo eleitoral, a gente começa já com muita vontade de começar tudo de novo, né? A gente retoma esse processo já com muita vontade.